All right. Let's see if this works this time. Look at that. Look at all those viewers. It's crazy. I think what happened was when I started this, I had the stream set to private, which was just totally bizarre and didn't notify anybody that I was doing this. I still got to try to figure out how to get the hang of this this YouTube thing, this live streaming thing. But, learn by doing, right? So, I hope you all can hear me all right and that I'm coming through loud and clear. All right, excellent. Hey, you're live now. Perfect. How you doing? I'm doing pretty good. As I was mentioning a few minutes ago, I just thought it would be fun to jump on here and give you guys a quick update on the progress of this big, crazy, insane musical endeavor that I am embarking on in just a few short weeks. If you didn't know already, was it 3-4 days ago, I announced that I would be doing, releasing one song every month for an entire year. Now, these aren't like songs that are already sitting on my hard drive, like done and ready to go. No, these are songs that I'm like writing, like in this current, right here and now, I'm writing these songs, and the majority of them are not done. I don't know which one's going to come out when and all this kind of stuff. It really is just, it's really just an artistic experiment to see what happens when you not only have like sort of a creative plan, but you kind of let the way your previous, let's say, creations influence the next steps of the project, right? So it's like you go into a studio, you're usually disconnected from the rest of the world, and you're sitting down and you're writing songs. And, when you're done, you emerge and you say, all right, guys, here it is. Take it or leave it. Like, so this way, I'm basically, I'm going to release a couple of songs and see how they do. See if you guys like them. See if I like them. See if the world likes them. See how the world changes. See how I change. Just, kind of let the process sort of decide what the next steps are going to be. And so that's why I'm like so excited about this 12 songs in 12 months project. And, when I announced it the other day via a video here on my YouTube channel, I was skeptical, I thought I was going to get a lot of really negative feedback. A lot of people saying this is not the way that we want to consume music. We don't want to listen to singles. We only want albums. But, the response was incredibly, incredibly positive. And, the fact that we added something like, let's see, where are we at now with patrons? So we are now at 561 patrons. That is like 70 something patrons in 3 or 4 days. It's completely crazy to me. So like I'm super, super grateful for the fact that so many of you believe in this project and are on board with it. So yeah, I just thought I would pop on here. I did this on Facebook a couple of days ago just to kind of like talk to you about this and answer any questions that you may have, because obviously, I think that I articulated myself and expressed my my vision in a way that is super understandable, but there were some people that didn't fully kind of like grasp what it was I was trying to say, and that's not necessarily their fault or my fault. I think it's just we all think in different ways, and I feel like it's usually helpful to talk to those people and see if you can try and approach the discussion from a different angle, and then all parties involved understand one another. So yeah, basically I'm here. It's Sunday night, 8:30 p.m. Got my glass of wine, and I got a few of you guys here, and just wanted to tell you all how excited I am that we have 561 patrons now, which means we have unlocked I want to say up like singles all the way up until June, something along those. It's either June or July. We've unlocked singles for, so that's pretty wild. Hello from Munich. Hello back to Munich. I'm not far away. I'm here in Upper Austria, so hop, skip, and a jump away. Weather was nice today. Pretty sunny, pretty warm. I like that a lot better than the snow that we had the last few days. Not into that. Joe Letts said you're an asshole. Well, he's right. He's 100% right. Tell Joey I love him, and he's an asshole back. All right. The structure makes sense with the current moment in time, and you defended the position perfectly. Moving on. Awesome. That's great to hear. I mean, look, I try not to focus on the negative feedback. I mean, when I look at that video where we announced the singles plan and the structure and how it's all going to work, that video has something like 550 thumbs up and like 10 thumbs down. And, you've got probably like a handful of people who are telling me that, it's evil to hide music behind a paywall or something like that, as if, that was actually what I'm doing. And some people felt like I was holding the music for ransom, as if I like had finished songs and I was saying like, no, you can't have them unless you pay me money or unless you sign up to my Patreon. So, it's not really like that. The whole idea is that, people believe in the project and, they sign up for my Patreon, which allows me to afford things like, food and rent and all the other kind of stuff that your average human being needs to survive. Because, I'm not doing any side work for an entire year, which means like I'm turning down all remixes, I'm turning down all commissions, turning down all features, all the stuff that kind of like helps keep me afloat in this strange time that we're in. I'm not doing any of that. And then also on top of that, you've got, mastering and press and design and all of that kind of stuff. So it's certainly going to be a time intensive and expensive endeavor. And that's why I'm, telling all of you that if you believe in this idea and you want to support it, and, it's worth it to you to sign up for my Patreon for, I don't know, $2 a month, that we can sort of create this creator-listener symbiosis that I've been trying to cultivate for years now. And I feel like it's just getting better and better as time goes on. So, yeah. It is July. Yes. Okay, awesome. So we are now we have all the singles between now and July unlocked. And that is pretty damn awesome. Oh, look who it is. It's Nick. Hi, Nick. How's it going? It's a little bit early. Oh, no, it's not that early there. It's like, what, 2 in the afternoon, 2:30, something? All right, it's lunchtime. Well, it's a little later than lunchtime for me, which is why I'm drinking wine. What kind of wine are you drinking? That is a good question. This is a Chilean wine. I'm a big fan of South American wines. They've usually got a nice, fruity, forward flavor, but they don't tend to be overly sweet. And I really like wines that have a bit of a leathery or, let's say, tobacco character to them. And I think that South American wines have kind of like tick all those boxes for me, And yeah, it's good stuff. It's all kind of like a Pinot Noir or something, but a little bit funkier. I like that. Early for a musician, yeah. I actually I like get up every day at 7:30 and then I go to bed at 11:30 like an old dude. It's weird. Like I thought that I'd become a professional musician, and then I would just keep like those crazy hours that I was trying to keep when I was, working like a 9 to 5. So it's like stay up until 3 or 4 in the morning and then get up for your shift at 7 or something like that. And I was like, man, I can't wait until I'm a professional musician so I can keep these like crazy hours and work all night. And I just don't do that. I get up super early and go to bed super early. Oh boy. All right. Can you say happy birthday can you say happy 7th birthday to my son, Alex? He loves your music. Oh, that's awesome. Yes, of course. Happy birthday, Alex. I hope you have a lovely, lovely day. Please don't listen to the naysayers. I and so many people love what you do and seeing your creative process. It's so important to me to help keep my favorite artists independent. I really, really appreciate that. Thank you, Melissa. I think it's not necessarily about, getting too caught up in the negativity or worrying about the naysayers, but I do think that it's important to try to have a conversation with people because I think that for the most part, if people really understand where you're coming from, you'll find that they tend not to be as hostile to you or your ideas as they may seem to be, or as they are at the onset. Somebody wrote me and they wrote me like a really, really long email, and they expressed their frustration with this new project because, they felt like I was holding music for ransom, or like, punishing fans for not signing up for my Patreon. And, I thought long and hard about everything that he had to say. And, I turned around and I wrote him like an equally long novel because I thought it was important to make sure that he felt heard and that I was really sort of digesting his criticisms because, he took the time to reach out to me in a very diplomatic way, right? It wasn't just like somebody in the YouTube comment section being like, fuck you, man, throwing all kinds of slurs all over the place. So, he took the time to write me, so I took the time to write him back. And I really sort of explained my position and why I believe that this is a really great way to release music, and why I believe that it really helps the audience and the creator have a tighter, more symbiotic relationship. And, he wrote me back and he was like, you've got a new Patreon. I've just signed up. So, I mean, that's the kind of conversations that I want to have with people, right? Like, I want to listen to what people have to say and respond to them accordingly. Sorry, somebody is saying that the link to the Imperfect Society on my description here is not working, so I'm just going to triple check that. What? That is super bizarre. Okay, that just... I literally think that that domain just stopped working like within the last 24 hours because it's literally been working forever. What is going... Yeah, bad gateway. All right. Weird. All right, I'm going to have to fix that. The Patreon link is patreon.com/Daniel Graves. I will drop it in the comments right now. Save. Boom. Yeah, it's weird. It works for you guys. Crazy. Okay, yeah. I also got a bad gateway notification. So, don't know what to tell you. I'll look into that. I'll poke around in my, what's it called? Hosting service. There you go. I'm not very technically minded, as all of my patrons already know. What does your shirt say? Catterall Born Killers. It is my Close to Human clothing line. We take really awesome pop culture icons and turn them into cats. So this is Natural Born Killers, and they're cats. You can grab this shirt and many other awesome ones at closetohuman.com. Oh, that's not a link. Here, can I edit it? No, remove. All right, www.closetohuman.com. Boo. It could be a regional thing. I sometimes have to use a VPN to access certain sites seemingly entirely at random. Yeah, but that's kind of weird. Like this is my site. I'm the one who should be deciding whether or not, certain regions can access it. And I've literally never had this problem before. So, yeah, like I said, I'll dig around. I think I need to hire like some kind of IT person because I just migrated my website from our old domain, from my old server. What websites are? Hold on, I'm really dumb when it comes to this stuff. Websites are stored on servers. Hosting, yeah. So I migrated my website from an old host to a new host, and yeah, some of the things got like wonky. Some weird links got broken, and I'm trying to like fix them manually. And then somebody wrote me and said, "Oh, you can do some sort of like DNS redirect or some shit that I don't understand." So I think I need to talk to somebody who is much smarter than I am. Okay. This question is in German, but I will translate it to English. How are you actually doing at the moment in terms of your health? Are you healthy again? So I am mostly back. But I don't know, like I don't want to I feel like if I just say, "Oh yeah, I'm 100%," that I'm like speaking too soon because I don't have a fever or a cough or, the shakes or headaches or anything like that anymore, but I still feel exhausted all the time. So it's like I wake up, I get out of bed, and I feel like, I've just finished running a marathon. I play with my cat for 5 minutes and I'm sitting there like holding my knees like because I don't have the same kind of like stamina as I used to. And like when I'm singing, I realize that it takes more breath support and more, let's say like engagement of my vocal cords to produce certain sounds. And for this maybe like 2 weeks after my fever broke, I couldn't sing or anything like that. And I was really afraid that I would have long-term negative effects on my voice because I just couldn't produce notes. Like if I tried to sing, I just like, it would hurt and I had all this phlegm and stuff like that. It was really, really uncomfortable. So I feel like my voice is still trying to like come back fully. Still find myself clearing my throat constantly. It's terrible. Yeah. So I feel very grateful that, my bout with COVID was not worse. I guess you could put it sort of in like the mild, moderate, category. It was by no means a walk in the park though. Like it wasn't just like, "Oh, I have the flu, I don't feel good." It wasn't anything like that. And the fact that I still have these residual effects like now a month on, it sucks. Like I don't recommend it. I keep thinking I'm seeing the cat out of the corner of my eye, but it's actually like a bag of or a bag that I use to store my softbox lights. Yeah, are you concerned at all about the long-term effects of COVID, as others have mentioned? I do feel quite confident that I'm going to make a full recovery. The question is when, right? Like when am I going to be able to go for a run and not feel like I'm dying? When am I going to wake up in the morning and not feel like I'm totally exhausted? When am I going to be able to take a deep breath and not feel like somebody's sitting on my chest, right? Like, because I have asthma, I actually had a scheduled appointment with my lung specialist that, we made even before COVID, because I've been dealing with asthma issues ever since I moved back to Europe. Because, I don't know if you guys are aware that I suffer from asthma. It's not like incredibly severe, but it's there, and it sucks. And I started noticing it after I moved here within a couple of weeks. And this is after like living in LA, right, for years and years and years. And then that's where I was actually diagnosed with asthma. And, I got on daily treatments and things like that. And after a few months or a year or so, I was able to stop my medication altogether. So, going for runs and, playing shows and all that kind of stuff and not having any sort of asthma symptoms. Fast forward to, earlier this year when I was finally home and spending a good amount of time at home, not on the road. So in my apartment, here on the countryside, all of a sudden it's like, oh shit, I feel like I can't breathe again. I haven't felt this in a long time. And, so we went to the lung specialist and he said, yeah, your asthma's kind of coming back. You got to take these meds, and the meds are a little bit different than they are in America. And so I wasn't used to them, and they totally messed up my voice because inhaled corticosteroids can mess with your voice. So I dealt with that for like a couple of months, and then it just got to a point where I had to say fuck it and start taking like the meds anyways. But luckily it seems like my vocal cords acclimated to them. And so it's been a long road. And I went to the doctor for just like a secondary checkup, basically being like, taking all your meds, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, I'm taking my meds. Okay, cool. Does a lung scan, it does the spirometer test, and it looks like my lung function is pretty much normal. So that's great. But I don't feel normal thanks to COVID. So that's a really, really long-winded and detailed explanation, but that's kind of how it is. Hi, everyone. Why do you think that even today that there are people denying the virus? Look, I'm not a psychologist. I'm not a virologist. I'm not an expert in any way, shape, or form. But I think in general, I've been saying this for a number of years. I believe that the reason people gravitate towards conspiracy theories is because it's a lot easier, like it's a lot more comforting to believe that someone is in control, right? It's the aliens, or it's the government, or it's the devil. So it's like religion. It's easier to believe that someone is in control, and that if we can only get those people out of control, then we can have some kind of utopia, right? Or if this like knowledge was shared with mankind, that we would be somehow freed and, I don't know, enter into paradise, right? It's a very sort of like religious narrative. And I think the truth about existence and society and all that kind of stuff, that civilization just is hanging by a thread, and no one, even the people at the top, have any fucking idea of what's going on. That we're all just sort of like winging this, and we're all imperfect and broken people. That's not comforting. That's scary as shit, right? But all evidence seems to point to the fact that that's the case. So, I think people just want to believe that there is some measure of control, or, that the universe can be tamed in some way, either by reptilians or gods or whatever. That's my sort of take on it. How many patrons would you like to have by the end of 2020? Well, I've got my little whiteboard here with all of my sort of goals for the year, because I think it's really important to, visualize your goals. I don't necessarily believe in, I don't believe that you can manifest things into existence, right? Like, I don't think if you wish hard enough that you'll get something. But I think that if you set reasonable goals and you remind yourself of those goals constantly, and you are actively taking steps to achieve them, that you can get pretty close. And I remember it was funny. Last year I started writing down I still refer to them as manifesting goals, even though I don't actually believe in manifesting. But I started writing down my manifesting goals last year, and I talked mostly about how the progress that I wanted to make with singing, and the fact that I wanted to open for Rammstein. And it was really funny because I didn't get as far with my singing as I had hoped. But I got farther with my singing this year than I did on any other year that's come before. And I've been, studying vocal technique and singing for like 10 years. So I'll take that as a win. And I didn't open for Rammstein, but I opened for Lindemann. And we got to play in arenas, right? So that was something else that I would count as a win. And it's because I kept these things in my mind, right? Like that I was constantly chasing those goals and trying to find ways to make them reality. So it's not that the universe delivers you the things that you want, but constantly reminding yourself of what you want and holding yourself accountable to stay on track and, do the work that's necessary to get you to where you want to be. That's super duper important, helpful, whatever. I'm just going to shake my hand like a politician. Oh, right. So to answer your question, I want 50,000 YouTube subscribers. So we are at 38 now. I think it's a modest goal to try to get to 50,000 by the end of the year. And I want 200,000 monthly Spotify listeners. We currently have 104,000, so that's almost double. And I want 600 Patreon supporters. And holy shit, we are only 39 Patreon supporters away from that. So I think I'm on track, right? And I'm going to keep pushing for all of those things. I'm going to keep reminding myself every morning when I wake up, what I want, and either remind myself of the steps that it's going to take to get there, or figure out the steps that need to be taken in order to get there. And just a quick sort of like recap for all of you guys. I am doing a pretty insane musical project endeavor, whatever you want to call it, for 2021, where I release one song every single month for an entire year. These songs are not all done and ready to go. They're not sitting on my hard drive just waiting to be released. No, I've got 2 that are done, and then beyond that, it is pure chaos. It's open season. We're just going to kind of see where this project goes. And all I need from you guys, because I make my music free. My music is freely available on Bandcamp. It's all pay what you want. You can get all of my music for free there or on Spotify. Because of that, in order to afford this endeavor, I'm asking that we get 10 new Patreon supporters for each single that we want to release. So that means 120 Patreon supporters in the calendar year. We've already got to 70 Patreon supporters, which means we have now unlocked half of the year's singles, which is, just kind of like, I have to pinch myself to even kind of process that, because it feels so totally unreal. I didn't think that we were going to get here so quickly. I really thought that we were going to kind of like trickle in over the course of the weeks and months. But I think that it's amazing, and I'm so grateful for all of you guys for supporting and believing in this ridiculous project. Okay. What do you think about 21? What do you think about 2021? Do you think that we will be back in the clubs for DJing and live shows? Greets Mike at the Matrix. Oh, Mike, my old buddy Mike. Mike was one of the first promoters in Germany to support Aesthetic Perfection. So I am super grateful for Mike and, well, yeah, his support for these last 15 years. My God. Yeah, so I don't know what it's going to take for international touring to resume to normal, because you have to remember that it's not really only about getting people into a room safely. It's about international travel returning to normal. It's about international and domestic flights being affordable. You know, we don't know what things are going to cost in the coming years when things try to get back to normal. And all these companies are trying to recoup the profits that they lost during the pandemic. You know, am I going to still be able to afford to rent a coach? Is a promoter still going to be able to afford to pay my guarantee? A lot of whispers in the industry are saying that, you know, artists are going to need to really prepare for pay cuts. And you know, indie bands like mine, you know, we can't afford to take like a 40 or 50% pay cut on tours that only have like 5 to 10% profit margins. So I think we're just really going to have to wait and see. But you will certainly see clubs, like local events reopening much sooner than you're going to see international touring, right? Because it's like it's mostly about the costs and the logistics that are involved, right? So it's like as the scope of the tours go up, then so do the costs and so do the logistical hurdles that you have to overcome. So that is my way of saying I don't know. Bro, why do you look like Trusty Patches? I don't know who that is. Not a clue. Okay, lots of questions about patches. Ashen One in the Firelink Tower. This is probably about a video game. I play Zelda. That's like, I play Zelda and Call of Duty. That's like all I do. All right. Well, we're just going to mute this dude. Goodbye. Yeah, 562 patrons. That is insane. Yeah, still counting. Wish you the best for this project. Do you feel more connected to the fans and supporters nowadays, even though the pandemic changed everything? I'll tell you a quick little story. So when I first started, this whole music thing, I was so focused and so obsessed with becoming, like a rock star and getting millions of fans and millions of dollars and all that kind of stuff. And it really messed with my mental health for a long time, because it's weird going from being sort of presented to the world as like the next big thing, because that's what my labels did. Like my labels tried to hype me up and tell the world that I was going to be the next big thing. And, for a while there I was, and then, I put out a record, I put out a Violent Emotion, and it was extraordinarily successful, at least in terms of, the dark music scene. And, I bought into my own hype, and I believed that I was sort of like the next big thing. And I felt like it was owed to me. And I was not a super great person back then. Like I wasn't grateful for what I had. I didn't take the time really to care too much about fans or anything like that. And, then I put out an album, All Beauty Destroyed, which just was a total flop. And, I lost all of the fans that I had gained through A Violent Emotion. My labels stopped believing in me and stopped investing in me. People stopped coming to my shows. And all I could do was blame everybody else for that. I was blaming my labels, and I was blaming my manager, and I was blaming anybody that I could for me not having the success that I was owed by the universe, or whatever kind of bullshit was going on in my brain. And that started to wear off around the time of Till Death, but I still was super obsessed with becoming huge, and I was just getting so mad that I wasn't getting any of these opportunities that were going to make me huge, because it's after you stop being the next big thing, nobody wants to call you anymore. It's you don't get the big tour offers, you don't get asked to be featured, or you don't get asked to do features, or have people want to feature on your stuff or do remixes or stuff like that. All those opportunities disappear, and I was just so bitter until, I don't know, one day I woke up and I was like, there are a million people in the world that would kill to be in my position, in the sense where it's I'm a professional musician, I'm doing what I love for a living, and there are people out there who really, really appreciate my work. Why am I not watering the plants that are already in my garden, instead of, trying to go to the Blumengeschäft? What is that in English? Trying to go. Why am I going to the garden store and trying to buy a million exotic plants that I can't afford? And once I started being not just pretending to be grateful, but genuinely grateful for the fact that I had a fan base who cared about my music, and started nurturing the audience that I had, things just changed instantly. I was instantly happier. I felt like I had more purpose, right, in my work, because I felt like my work was actually, or I took the time to notice that my work was resonating with other people. And I started noticing all of the, just in general, all the positive effects of the music that I was making in the world. And I started forming real connections with the people who were connecting to my music. And ever since then, that bond has just gotten stronger and stronger. And I think with Patreon and, the way social media has evolved in the last few years, just makes that contact so much easier. And so, to answer your question, I feel like COVID has given me the time to be more present and be more available to the people who value my work, certainly, but I think that I would absolutely still be on this path if it weren't for that. So I know that was super rambly and long-winded, but the truth is that I am just not even worried too much about, the things that I wanted when I was 25, and I'm just sitting here at 37 being incredibly grateful that, I'm here. I'm talking to you guys. I've got music equipment. I've got internet. I've got, yeah, it's stupid to even be that entitled little dipshit that I used to be. What is your view about the decision of Warner alternating cinema streaming premiere? Oh, wait, hold on. What is your view about the decision of Warner alternating cinema streaming premiere movies in 2021? Is an idea that director James Cameron proposed several years ago, receiving lots of criticism. Okay. I think what you're saying is that, how do I feel about all of, because I guess I don't know a lot about it. So I did sort of see headlines. I didn't follow up too much with it, but I did see headlines that, I guess Warner is releasing all of their movies meant for the theaters, via HBO or something like that. Like, so streaming services all next year because nobody's going to be able to go to the cinema. Yeah. I mean, it makes sense. I think it's, again, this is just speaking without knowing entirely what is going on. I think that everybody is beginning to become very aware that the world is going to be different when this is all said and done. And that to be sitting around waiting for the world to just go like poof, go back to normal, that's shooting yourself in the foot. That is kind of like digging your own grave, right? Because if we're not making the most out of the situation that we're in and trying to figure out ways forward, then we are just sitting down idly by while the world, whizzes past us. And I don't know what's going to happen in the future, but I certainly know that we're going to see a lot more people, working from home, taking their entertainment in at home. Maybe we're going to have a whole generation of agoraphobics. I doubt that. I saw that Yale guy on Rogan talking about how he's expecting the Roaring 20s because after the Spanish flu pandemic, right? That's when the Roaring 20s kicked in. Everybody just wanted to go out and party. So we'll see. If it were not for you being entitled in the past, you probably would have never learned the important lessons that it gave you and helped to grow bigger and better. Yeah, I mean, that's certainly true. If I had gotten everything that I wanted, when I was young and naive, I would certainly be a much different person now. And I think that I probably would have been a lot like those, in a couple of years, I probably would have ended up like a lot of those burned out rockers that, you see the ones who are in their 50s and 60s and still trying to live like sex, drugs, and rock and roll and, still dressing like they're 25 in their skinny jeans with, I don't know, a body that is not super flattered by it. I think that I needed all of that to happen in order for me to recognize that I was kind of the author of my own destiny in some ridiculous sense. And I think that it's through adversity? It's through adversity that we grow wiser and stronger. And so, I'm certainly glad that things worked out the way they did. Not like life is perfect. It never is. But, it's certainly better than it was. And I'm certainly a lot less self-destructive now than I used to be. And maybe that's why my music sucks now, like all of those Violent Emotion fans say. He does look like Patches. That's why I was trying to say it, but he got mad. No, I didn't get mad. You just are spamming the comment channel, and I can't read anything but you talking about a dumb video game that I don't know anything about. Okay. What what fuels your inspiration? Are you with your song weitergekommen? Yeah, it's hard to translate into English. I'm trying not to think in German right now. Ja, was mag deine Inspiration? Bist du mit deinem Song weitergekommen? Es kommt drauf an. Welches Lied meinst du? What advice do you have for those that feel stuck, that deal with fear or resistance to make their goals or dreams come true? I think that you just need to work through it. Like that has been the most sort of useful technique for me is, I've been doing this for 20 years and I feel like I have some level of expertise. I mean, I'm nowhere near where I would like to be, but I think that, you don't do something for decades on end without learning a few tricks. And whenever I feel stuck and whenever I feel like I don't know what to write or I don't know how to complete a song, I just try to imagine what it would be like if somebody, was paying me $1 million and they were like, okay, tomorrow's Monday. I'm going to give you $1 million if you finish your song on Friday. Like, what would I do to get that song done? Like, what sort of skill set would I call upon to finish that? Okay, fine. Well, I guess if I had to, I would make the bridge this. And if I just had to come up with a melody real quick, it would be this, right? So it's like, I think internally, we know what it is that we could do, but we are often grasping for the ideas that we either can't do or haven't found yet or haven't tried before, because that's what artists do. They always try to push their own limits, but there is a lot to be said for simply calling upon your skills and your strengths in order to get a job done. And I think that this is the way that I approach these things. And whenever I get stuck with something, I just say, God damn it, I'm just going to finish it right now. And, if the song sucks, then okay, there's always time to write another one. If it doesn't suck, which it usually doesn't, right? It's like if you know what you're doing enough, then the results are never as terrible as you may than you're possibly worrying about. So, and that's great too. Like some of my best songs are the songs that I didn't overthink too much and, torture myself over for months on end. So it's like Never Enough was a song that I wrote in like 2 weeks, and Gods and Gold was a song that I wrote in like 4 months or 6 months. It's just kind of the way it goes. Weitergekommen, go further. Yeah, I mean, that it could be that. I was thinking progress, because in this sense, she was asking if I'd made any progress on the song, but I just wasn't sure which song she meant. Ich will eigentlich nicht auf Deutsch reden, weil es ist mir so peinlich. Ich muss normalerweise den ganzen Tag Deutsch reden und ich mache so viele Fehler, dass es, ich möchte das nicht in der Öffentlichkeit machen. Naja, okay. Warum ist mein Deutsch so gut? Ich bin mit einer österreichische Frau geheiratet. Ich habe früher in Berlin gewohnt und auch in Salzburg. Ich habe 6 oder 7 Jahre in Salzburg verbracht und jetzt wohne ich wieder in Österreich. Und ich habe beschlossen, dass ich irgendwann flüssig werden möchte und deswegen ist mein Deutsch okay. Aber es ist nicht gut. Wie gesagt, das ist mir oft peinlich. Weird question. Have you ever written a song and then found out that you didn't have the vocal range to sing the melody you came up with? Yeah, that was like almost every song that I wrote before I started really diving into singing. So, one of the first things that you learn when you study singing for real is that you need to write in your range. So, typically what I do when I write a song, I come up with a melody, I find out if I can sing the highest note, or let's say sing the highest note in a way that sounds good. And so I usually start with that, and I very often transpose songs. So it's like back in 2015, 2016, I was transposing songs all the time. Like there are songs like on my hard drive that have been like recorded 7 times in 7 different keys. Now that doesn't really happen anymore because I just grab my guitar and I strum along and I'm like, okay, can I sing this? Can I sing this? Like, it's not just about can I sing this? It's like, can I repeat it? Right? Like, can I consistently sing this song, have it sound good, and not hurt my voice? And that takes a lot of years to get to, but it certainly happens to me much less now than it did in the past. But what's really great is that I studied in Copenhagen with the people at Complete Vocal Institute, and they're great because they take this really pedagogic approach to singing in the sense where it's like, okay, you want to sing X note? Fine. This is the amount of physical strength you're going to need to do it. These are the vowels that you can sing. These are the notes that you can sing in these sort of styles as a man or a woman, right? And so you really do learn to break a song down, or like a vocal performance, into all of its individual components, to where, you really can you can write like a blueprint for how to sing a song. And so I do write blueprints for very difficult songs. And lately I've been trying to sing like Queen songs. So I work on I Want to Break Free by Queen. It's one of my favorite songs ever. And I think it's just, I would love to be able to sing that like perfectly, but it's just so friggin' hard. But yeah, so it's like I take a pedagogic approach and I try to write a blueprint for how to sing that song. All right, I'm going to hang out for 8 more minutes and then I'm going to go. Nicole says, I don't understand German. Yeah, I didn't understand German for a lot of years. It's a very hard language, and yeah, it's not easy. I mean, I've been learning this for 10 years. Or God, no, more. Jesus. I've been learning this since 2006. So 14 years. And I'm still like, all right. Jason says, in the future, would you consider putting your music on vinyl records? I do put my music on vinyl records. I mean, if you go to store.aesthetic-perfection.net, you will find Into the Black on vinyl. You will find the Inhuman single on vinyl. We did the Antibody single on vinyl, but it is sold out. We did Till Death on 3 different colors of vinyl. Those are all sold out, unfortunately. So yes, I will certainly continue to produce vinyl records when I make records. Obviously, right now, I'm just doing the 1 single per month for a year. If we reach 650 Patreon supporters, then I will absolutely collect those singles as well as other music that I've written while I'm here for the next year. I will collect all of that into a full-length album, and I will put it on physical media, which includes CDs, cassettes, and vinyl. Do you find cyberpunk interesting? No. No, I'm not really into cyberpunk. I don't know what else to say. On A Violent Emotion, the voice was so much technically changed into this screaming voice. Have you ever experimented with your voice again in that extreme way? Okay. So there are 3 or 4. No, it's like 4. 3. Depends on who you ask. There are 3 or 4 styles of extreme vocals. What I was doing on Close to Human and A Violent Emotion was somehow related to a style that is called false chord screaming. That's engaging your false vocal cords, which are above your true vocal cords, and that's making them flap around all crazy by just, blowing wind through them. I did not do that in any way that was correct. And I was totally destroying and shredding my voice doing it. The reason that those records even sound any level of good is because they were layered to death, they were compressed to death, and they were distorted. So if you watch like live videos of me from that time, you won't ask why I was changing my vocal style, because I was about ready to destroy my career by just going out on stage and going with no idea what I was doing. Around that time, I discovered the Zen of Screaming DVDs, which was mostly focusing on fry screaming, which is something that I really wanted to get good at because I was super into like Marilyn Manson and also like rock screaming. So like Every Time I Die, like metalcore stuff, Every Time I Die, or who are some of the other ones that I really liked? I mean, Every Time I Die was really like the most important one for me. But yeah, I started trying to do fry screaming, which was really, really hard and is still like a difficult thing for me to do because it's so like counterintuitive to the way that I sing. Fry screaming requires a whole lot of finesse and like delicate vocal cord compression and stuff like that, which is only something that I've gotten really good at in the last year or so. But I wanted to have that sort of like high, crispy, distortion stuff. Like I didn't want the low rolling stuff. So I just worked on that for a few years. And, I understand that it wasn't awesome on some songs and records, but, that's just how it is when you're trying to get better. And then I started studying a couple of years ago with Mary Zimmer. And she just really she made it all make sense for me. And so, my fry screaming got like way better. Then we started talking about false chord because I was like, oh, maybe I want to do something that sounds similar to what I did on, my first 2 records. Now, I've gotten pretty good at false chord screaming, but it doesn't sound like it did on A Violent Emotion or Close to Human. I mean, it sounds more like that than, let's say, fry screaming, Gods and Gold type stuff. But it's definitely different because it is a technique where you have certain limitations and you have to do it the right way or else you really hurt yourself. Again, that was another long-winded answer, but because I've gotten good at false chord screaming, a lot of the new stuff does include it. Actually, the chorus in the upcoming single for January is all in false chord screaming. I guess it's up to you guys to decide whether or not that sounds like A Violent Emotion or not. I don't think so. Okay. Oof. All right. See if I can get through these questions. You mean the song from the Instagram? Okay. You're talking about patron stuff. I feel you. Okay. Yes, that song is almost done. I'm almost done with the lyrics. I'm hoping to record it tomorrow. any considerations about doing Imperfect 2 or a couple of acoustic sets, you know, I know you're a Patreon supporter, so I have talked about this on Patreon a number of times, but I would love to be able to do, you know, another acoustic show or another, you know, kind of version of Imperfect. The problem is that given the current state of the world, like something like that is totally impossible, right? Like at least for now, right? Like I live in the middle of nowhere. I don't have access to musicians and there's no live shows, that type of thing. And you also have to remember, like, I'm not a guitarist, so I can't just like grab an acoustic guitar and sit there and play songs in any way that would be satisfying, because whenever I play a song on a guitar, I go like this. I'm like, C, G, yeah, and D, yeah, D, F, yeah, cool. So, I don't think you want to watch me do that. So, I definitely will do another acoustic show. It's just really a matter of the stars aligning, you know, because you need the right musicians for something like that to work. And, you know, I just don't have that right now, which is why I want to focus on this project. And then, you know, in a year we can see where the world's at. Look, I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to be doing this till I die. So we got time. All right. See here. All right, here's the last question, and then I will go. How do you handle life distractions and coming back to your art in progress when you've been away from a project for a while? I actually find that to be good. When I spend like days or weeks sort of hopelessly intertwined with a creation, it can get really hard to see the forest for the trees, right? Like you start obsessing with things like the kick drum or you know, just all very sort of superficial things that maybe the audience doesn't really care about. It's like, is this song good or is this song bad? You lose perspective. I find when I come back to something after a couple of weeks and I've, you know, forgotten about it, or at least forgotten about my perception of it, it's a lot easier to take a step back and go, okay, I know what this needs. Put this here, do that there, flip it over, psh, done. It doesn't always work like that. And it's funny, when I try to resurrect songs that I've had like for years, it almost never works because I'm in a completely different mindset. And, you know, I'm in a different sort of place vocally and, you know, production wise. It's like, that's hard. It's really hard for me to resurrect old songs. But my new sort of method now is that, like, I take something as far to completion as I can. You know, it's like, say the song's 70, 80% of the way there. And then I put it down and I leave it alone for a week or two. And then I come back to it. And then I find that it's a lot easier to, you know, see what the song needs and go from there. All right, guys, that about does it for me. Thank you for hanging out and listening to me ramble about all of my crazy nonsense. As I said, I'm super excited to get underway with next year's project. We have already funded half of the upcoming singles, which means even if you're not a Patreon supporter, you get new music. But, you know, that's the way it is. I feel like the community that we've built there is there so that we can continue to make new music for the people that either don't want to be patrons or don't have the means to do so. So I really, really believe that art should be for everyone. And I'm super grateful to the people who want to support me in my endeavors to keep creating. Yes. So yeah, as I said, we are halfway funded for the year, and I think that we can get the rest of the way. I'm really looking forward to it. Guys, thank you so much. See you on Patreon. See you wherever else. You know where I'm at. I'm always here. Where else am I going to be? All right, guys. Peace. Later.